Hello, hello everyone. How you guys doing? Just 1 second because I'm going live also on Instagram. So I just need to learn how to look at the both phones at the same time. So yeah, here we are. We are live here on YouTube and on Instagram. So for those people who arrive here on Instagram, if you prefer watching on YouTube, there is the link on the previous story. But if you prefer to watch here on Instagram, so I will try this time to look at the both cameras, this time, because I always have to split between the two screens. I need to get used to. So, but here we are live. How you guys doing? How was this Oshla Trecena for you? So let me know in the comments. I will try to read the both of the both lives, and so let's just find a good position. I hope you all can hear me just fine. So today we're gonna be analyzing the Oshlahu Trecena, which is the Trecena of the biggest transformation, the biggest changes, and so it's gonna be a fun one to analyze. Hope. Hello Edmund. Hello Maya. Hello Atala. So nice to see you here. Thank you for joining me for this live. So if you have any questions, you can just feel free to ask me. And so bro, feels less heavy. Yeah, Ishvalam in the past Trecena sometimes drags us down. But I'm gonna be going back and forth, with some mentions of the past Trecena, so we can find some ways to think of and just try to, balance the stuff with this Trecena. Although this Trecena, depending on how we carry stuff, how we deal with stuff, can be a little bit annoying, I don't know if this is the best word to describe, but it can be a little bit heavy. But now which is the now ruling this Trecena, like is the overruler of this Trecena, we always talk about transformation, but transformation is never something that is already transformed, as most of our languages may sound like, oh, you're transforming, oh, you're transmutating. But in Maya, Hadbal, that is the word that we always associated in Quiche for now, talks more specifically about incompleteness. Something is incomplete and you need to change. Just like now, talks about the transformation of the corn. Whenever, like in the hamlets, in the small communities, you can see like they always hang the corn crops on the top of the house, so can they dry before they consume, before they go to the other places. So this is specifically that talks about the now this process of transformation of the corn. Is this process, just to mature, but it's still like it's not ready yet. So even though you already cropped, but it needs to dry before you consume. There is still some more stages to go through. And that's kind of also what the glyph of now represents. I cannot show in here, but let me just type as I always say, mayadaykeeper.me. You can go to my calculator, and in there you can see the, if you just search for the next day, you're gonna see the graphics of the snake. And so you can see like all of the nawals we are going to go through. So in the nawal, if you are just looking at the glyph, of course there are so many different variations of the glyph according, they change according to the language. For example, the Yucatec language is the Tan, Maya Tan, or the Cholan Maya, so where they have like this hieroglyph writing. They they may change, but the main glyph where you can see like there are two dots over there, it represents the corns hanging in the Maya houses. So that represents the now of the transformation. Also now is referred to lineage. For example, like is the baton like the elders used to walk, to help them walk, like the cane, but also like the cane they used to pass, for the next one, for the next lineage. So also talks about like this authority at home. Actually, is a way to express. Art can also be associated with the home, but home specifically, there is nothing that we can really take, like for example, for us, to like a really proper analysis of that. But talks more about like the authority at home, or talks about like this process of transformation, or just like always having to change something, or to harmonize something in our art. So now our art talks about everything that is very inconstant. So that's the main thing that we need to acknowledge about now art, halbal. And so in the past TRECENA that we spoke about the TRECENA of Hunahpu, we spoke about like the process of the seed that goes to the underground of the soil, and is the seed that needs to, needs to go, just to overcome darkness so it can rise up as a flower. So it's about the battle of the seed that needs to overcome that, to overcome ishvalam, like the process of gestating, the fertility of the earth in the underground, but also talking about like the process of this development, just like where as we can just metaphorically associate with the like the warrior that needs to go to the battle, so needs to prepare, just to face the battle. So last time that we saw the nawal was already on the nawal 6, on the heart of the past TRECENA, which means like it's the heart, like it's something we need to ponder, the type of transformation that we need to go through. So it's this process of you need to care like this stuff, like sometimes you don't believe in yourself, or sometimes you have doubts, so sometimes you feel incomplete, sometimes you feel that you can't. So you need to overcome something, even though you are getting prepared, to face that battle, but still there is always something that leaves you somewhat bitter sometimes. Sometimes even if you just like after many streaks like that, you just fail and fail and fail. Sometimes you can, you know, inhale like a cynical view of life, and that's another aspect that we need to talk every time we talk about now. We need to highlight. It's the it's this process that makes us bitter, like it's the process like for whenever we are eating something that is not ready yet, so it's not that tasty, so it's not that good. Even though, for example, but it's a very important now that tells us, that even though like we can choose to work with the things we love, we can do the things like we appreciate the most, but still there we always going to be process that's going to be hard to deal with, or there are some that say, oh my gosh, I need to do this, or I have to go through this, because to complete this stuff, for you to feel satisfied, for you to feel succeeded into something. So that's something that is now like this process that's speeded, that is not pleasant. So this is the type of transformation that we talk in our So it's the one, like it's just having just to walk through like a gray day over there. So it's not sunny, like you don't feel like too much enthusiastic about those stuff. So, but you have to do it anyways. So there is nothing you can do. You need to cross. Let's say this portal, like this annoying portal. So that's what now Aachen talks about. But now let's not just say that I don't want you to just to get an image or that it's just a boring now or just the now that talks only about negative aspects. And sometimes every time I say something about now it sounds like it's more negative. But we need to always analyze it without judgment. It's not about the good or the bad. Like it is what it is. It's the process of life. It's the same process, just having just to cross this stuff just makes us stronger. That can make us, just to absorb more different ideas, different perspectives of so many different things. It's all about these changes that we go through life just to change like a purpose that we have in life, something that doesn't make we feel like we don't fit, to a situation or a group of ideas. So we need to change, just to absorb different perspectives that can, with time, you're going to be having like so many different ideas, like so many different perspectives, you have like so many different types of knowledge in that sense. But sometimes you have to go through this gray stuff, you have to go through these gray feelings that the now brings. So even though it sounds has a bitter taste, at the end can be a great thing, but it always depends on us. But it's the now that sometimes, like even though it's bitter, can make us reluctant, just to grasp that, or just to just make you feel uncomfortable, make you feel annoyed at a sense, and create the cynical views in life. So that's the main stuff that we need to be aware of now. It's not about the good or the bad. It's just only about to understand the conceptualization and the atmosphere that this now brings. So if in the TRECENA of Oshilahu Hunarpu, we spoke about the process of the seed of getting out of the soil, the darkness. Then in this TRECENA, we're going to be talking about like the continue the transformation. So the end of the battle is not like the final goal. It's not like is the last mountain. We are not done in life. So the sun, like it always rises up, but it always goes down again. So we need to go back to this process of transformation. So in the past TRECENA, we started the TRECENA with Hunkanil, like it's the new process of planting the seed. They're going to be fighting just to get mature. So now we're going to be starting this TRECENA with imox, one water. So all of the battle, like all of the things that we made just to make our soil fertile with each falam, to make stuff develop from that, we can develop our courage, we can develop all the stuff that we gotta do just to face our fears, face our insecurities and everything. Now we can start this TRECENA either with a new injection of force, like if in the past TRECENA, like you were able to overcome your obstacles, just to shine, like with your ideas, your projects, something came up good, you could develop stuff. You could see maybe already some abundance coming from the TRECENA. So now you can start with a new injection of force, like a new flow, so you can continue on in that process. So now it's just about just to sustain, just to adapt to the new circumstances you have to go through. So this could be like a good aspect that we can start with Hunimosh. But as always, sometimes, like some TRECENAs they go like a little bit to our favorite stuff, sometimes not as much. So then imox will require like a new injection of force for you just to bounce back up, so you can start anew. Because if we were surrendered, like we were swallowed by the fears of the hunarpu, of the heaviness, of the aggressivity that sometimes the ishfalam in the past TRECENA requires us, and all of this heavy nawals that sometimes just pushes us down. Sometimes imox can start as like a new, like a like it's too much strength that can like leaves you just like going crazy with that stuff. It can leave you paranoid or buying some ideas. They are not necessarily truth, because sometimes we just don't see like the light yet. Doesn't mean that it doesn't have a solution. But sometimes, as imox represent the collective consciousness, like the seed where we draw our ideas, then we don't know like how to do with that. We can embrace some ideas that are not ours. Um, Hello, Davi. Andre, I don't know what you're talking about. But anyways, if you have questions, you can just write down here. Then I can later, go through that and reply. And so this process now of imox sometimes can make us get polluted. As now one talks about the spring, like it's the water that breaks the skin of the earth looking for a path, like it's the spring. So the spring, as we always talk in Maya, can be polluted as well. So we need to be aware of that, like how we open the spring. Sometimes we can get our ideas polluted, and that can accumulate into ah. So depending on how we are starting things in this now one of the TRECENA, we will determine like how things are going to get accumulated by the end of it. And so it depends on how you deal with things. So if now one talks about like the particles of the water that can mix stuff with this with other stuff, so maybe later we can get like the bitter taste of now or it can be the injectional force that can empower that. So imox can be this injectional force that can put things up for you. So if you felt like if you didn't have like so much courage in the past TRECENA, now you can come back in a different things. So now you can use imox to start anew, just to get like a new strength to start with. But just forget about, for example, the ideas, for example, what happened in the past TRECENA, just leave it behind. So now remember, time is always restarting, is always coming back up. And so you have always some stuff to work on. And then we're gonna be moving to keep yik to wind. Nawal 2 is a nawal of the retraction. Is the nawal that talked about take one step back, as the nawal 1 doesn't have a lot of strength just to go forward. So it's the nawal that talks about how you're going to calculate stuff, how you're going to project things towards to the end of this TRECENA. So you can use an A just to project the stuff that you gotta do in this one. So if the previous one, like was lacking courage, or was lacking, like an impulse to go forward, so maybe you can look back and see how you can learn with those stuff. Is there something that you can do, to enhance your performance, to push things forward towards to a better accumulation? So if there is something, so great. So you can use the nawal 2 wind to make those calculations and do the stuff that you gotta do. How you're gonna project all of this pushing of the of now yik. And to yik, also now the wind, we talk about like this, this insufflation of life. For example, if life started from water, came from water, now yik is the one that was there and just move the water, just to mix like the components, so life was able just to get out of the water. So yik is the now they start moving things. If this is the TRECENA of the transformation, you can use the now yik just to project what kind of change do you need for this TRECENA. Is it a change of behavior? Like, is it a change of perspective that you need? So you can use this as an impulse to go forward. So you can use the nawal 2 wind just to calculate that. Calculate what do you need just to get out of this zone of incompleteness in your life. Are you happy? Like, are you like like the partners that you have in life just makes you satisfied with the direction that you're going. So it's a good day to put this stuff in consideration, like just taking acknowledging what happened in the past TRECENA, so you can calculate just to push things forward in this one. So this is what we need to acknowledge. And then we're gonna be moving to the next now, that is Oshib Akabal 3 clarity. Now 3 is the water that goes forward. Is the first step of the water that needs to open the path, just to overcome obstacles. So this is the nawal that is the first push of the TRECENA that makes you go forward. So now one, it's masculine, it can be forward, but it can be very influenceable by all of the surroundings, about this stuff that we were carrying from the previous one. So now 3 is the right moment just to give, like, just put things, like, just to start with the right foot. And then now Akabal represents the first rays of the sun that start illuminating what is in the dark. So it's about, just for you to get out of stuff of the darkness, because maybe in the past TRECENA of Kunarpu you weren't able to shine as the way you wanted. Maybe stuff was still in darkness, so you needed to just stay a little bit more, like things weren't ready for you to finally overcome, like just to win the battle. So Akabal will represent like this stuff to open the path with the clarity. Maybe during Akabal you're going to be having like more time to, or at least more time just to see things more clear. So it talks about like whenever you need to do a research, so you can start clarifying the stuff. Or if you feel like that you are having some good ideas, so maybe you can keep that for you and apply the transformation that are necessary towards your projects, towards to your life goals, and so on. And so Akabal also can represent, for example, now Yek can represent, for example, you to retract to see what was making you angry. Remembering, Yek is a very explosive nawal, especially when things are not going to its direction. It can be like going everywhere, just like the wind doesn't have a single direction to go. So it's now to pay attention, close attention to, because if Yek explodes in now 2, then Yek can move towards to the complaints of the now Akabal. Akabal can be a very, like a now that complains a lot whenever things are not perfect as you wish it would go. So Akabal will represent that whenever like you are not satisfied with this stuff that you are working with, you are not satisfied like on how things are leading, so that can be adding to the bitterness of the can accumulate. But on the other hand, depends on how we are dealing with things. So Akabal can be the one that can start diverging some different points of where you can see some clarity, where you can find another ways for you to change something in your life, change like something like that you couldn't able before. Maybe you can progress in something. So it can be a great day for you to clarify what do you need to go through. And then moving from Oshib Akabal, we're gonna go to Kahib Kat for burning into ashes. Now 4 is the now of the water that stops. Is the now the water that's silently accumulating more strength. And now Kat is the now of the efforts, and now of the tasks. Is the now that talks about burning things into ashes. So it talks about like the weight of the tasks they take from us. It's about whenever we sacrifice to give life to the other. We sacrifice ourselves in order to assist other people. And that's what now Kat talks about. For example, in the stars, it talks about like what the nebula that keeps transformation, or that explosion. or can be a reference for pregnancy, like there is the transformation of the woman that gives, life to the baby gestating over there. So that's the main stuff that Kat talks about, is the energy that you take from you just to give to the other. It could be to help like a fellow human being over there with the stuff that you need. It could be, many different stuff that you can acknowledge. But it also talks about the things that brings you into extenuation of yourself, making you tired. It could represent something that you got you stagnant, just burning yourself to the task, or you're just devoting too much of your energy to something that is just consuming you. So Kahib Kat could be the day, for you to establish the tasks that you gotta do, to establish like what you have, in order just to balance things up. Remember, we started this TRECENA with imox, with this new injection of force, but you need to do things in proportion, because if not, if you don't do things in proportion with the injection of force, we can rot in the seed, we can mess up the stuff that we were doing, from the past TRECENAs. So that's why we need to always pay attention on how we carry things with proportion. So Kahib Katz is that they just should try to establish the how you are applying your efforts, like the things that they are making you burn yourself into the ashes. And then from Kahib Katz, we're gonna be moving to Hob Khan 5 Stellar Serpent. Now 5 is the nawal that talks about like the rough, is the nawal that overflows. And now of the stellar serpent, it represents the intervention. Is the nawal that talks about like the fury of the skies, is the communication of the skies, like the wrath of the sky that comes to make an intervention. Is a nawal of the fury. But it's the fury that sometimes makes us take one step forward, because sometimes we just waiting, like we don't know what to do, we become a little bit stagnant, we become a little bit just too comfortable with a situation, and we cannot move. So then we need like a bigger intervention, that's whether we want to move or not, will just take us from our comfort zone. So that is the Naukan, is the overflow of the fury. If we, depending on how we are carrying this stuff with this TRECENA, it represents on how maybe the Naukan will requires, will makes us move in this TRECENA. And so that's what we want to avoid, because Hobkan is an extremely powerful nawal. Maybe like by strength, we can even consider to be the strongest of all of the 260, because these are two masculine aggressive nawals. So if we are just too stagnant in cut, so as we need to carry on, we need to keep moving with life. Sometimes life will ask, okay, gently, what do you want? So it just makes us move all of the sudden. But if we are, for example, during the course of the TRECENA, we are starting with injection of force in imox. Then we are excited with Yek. We are opening the path with clarity. We are pretty sure of what we gotta do in this TRECENA. Then Naukan could be the day where you can give 150% of yourself just to make things, succeed. It's like it can be an extremely powerful day where you can do this stuff. And you can intervene, for example, a beard change. So you can really do a change. And remember, as I always say, now 5 days is where things can go sideways as well. So be aware of the power of Hob Khan. But everything that we do on Hob Khan will determine how things are tending to accumulate in the Oshlahu Ah. So if you have many different changes to do or many things incomplete, listen, just use this TRECENA just to do the things. It can be boring, it can be, just making you feel bitter or just make you feel whatever. just do whatever is necessary to do. Just cross this path. Don't think about it. Just walk forward. And you can even use this nawal of nawal kan to do that. And then from hop kan, we're gonna be moving to waki kame, 6 ancestors. Now 6 is the moment of pondering of the TRECENA. It's the moment to put things into perspective. It's the heart of the TRECENA. And now Kame talks about the dead ancestors, talks about the support as well. But can also talks about suffering whenever you are feeling you are with a heavy heart. You're just carrying like because life's being too heavy. Remember, brings stuff that can be not very pleasant to deal with. So the heart of this TRECENA has is very fragile in a sense. So 6 Kame is the day for you to ponder like what has been frustrating you. Try to balance this stuff. If you cannot get support from the people around you, remember that one of the principles of the Maya philosophy is that everything is alive, everything has a way of consciousness. So it doesn't matter if it's dead or alive, you can always find a way to contact them. So the realm of the ancestors can still be reached. Every time we talk to the wind, we show we spread our words to that, we do a ceremony. So we can always use Kame to try to balance this stuff. Balance makes the ceremonies to get the support that we need. But if you feel that it's something that makes you feel fragile or frustrating you, so it's better to see how can you go from that. Try to look for people who can support you in a way to to get away from this scenario of now Kame, because otherwise you'll be seeing the tears falling down from your face in this TRECENA. And so even though it can be bitter, it cannot be very pleasant, as I mentioned, just try to carry on. Just try to just put yourself just embrace the courage inside of you and just to go forward. Just try to transform whatever it needs to be transformed. And then we're going to be moving to Ukup Ker, 7 deer. Now 7 talks about it's the climax of the TRECENA, it's the most intense part. It represents the hot or the boiling water. It's the moment of the final release of the TRECENA. Remembering 7 is always the final date of the calendar, and that represents final and also a new beginning as well. So Ker talks about strength, spiritual strength. So how can we overcome that? This process of change, we need to be strong spiritually to be able to handle whatever our lives bring to us. So we need to be able to be stable to whatever people brings to us. So now Ker talks also about stability. Is now of the altar, stability in 4 legs. This is where we're going to be talking to the altar to make this be the intermediators between the sky and earth and the nawals in here. So it's now where you can empower yourself. You can even destroy others, if it's necessary. You can even do whatever is necessary. So in the nawal of the altar. So it's the place where you talk to the ancestors. So, but the main goal in here is just to try to find stability during these turmoils of life. Imox is too much strength, but it's hard to control. Now represents the changes. So now Ker, as you see here in the 7, is a way to find a balance. Try to find, okay, if you are just doing well, but there is something spiritual inside of you that is not being able to handle the heavy stuff, so go for a ceremony, go for a spiritual healing. So go to make yourself stable so you can go back to the dynamics of life. Remembering, the Maya philosophy is not about just like the Orientals of the Hindus or the Buddhists, where talks about everything is all about balance. In here, Maya, the principle is all about dynamics. And so it's all about for you obtain, balance so you can go back to do dynamics. It's okay sometimes if you cannot handle the battle or the pressure of the city. Sometimes okay, you can, retreat yourself just to the lands. You can just have like a peaceful life or meditating or whatever. Like nobody's going to be judged. It's not about the good or the bad. That we don't need to apply, human conceptualization about that. But in here, we always going to be talking in this Trecena that life is about the dynamics. Since the moment we were born, like we have a nawal. The nawal is our gesture of survival. Like how we're going to be moving just to compensate the stuff that we had from pregnancy. Talks about like the things that were like lacking that are going to be, influencing, like just give the impulse for our decisions in life. But at the same way, it talks about like the things that we reject in life. So it's always about just to find a balance just to go to later in transformation. So this is a Trecena that really explains this concept very well. Like this is the new, floating water, just to find a new flow, just to go to this process of transformation and incompleteness, then find the balance so we can go back to dynamics over again. And so Kerr is going to be talking about this ultimate balance that we can gain in this transformation Trecena, or this many aspects, this accumulation of changes and incompleteness at the end is what can makes us, get stronger in life. What's up, Douglas? Nice to see you. And so I'm also just remember that I'm live on Instagram and on YouTube if you prefer on YouTube. So that's why I'm just looking both screens over here. And so, but also care can represent the reluctancy whenever, like the deer freezes when in front of a prey. So whenever we get too comfortable of a situation, we are reluctant to the changes that the life brings us. So that can represent like the bitterness that can, grow in this Trecena, the cynicism that can also grow with nawal. Or sometimes we're just too comfortable, we don't want to move, or just waiting for some other people just to interact. Okay, there are people who are, their nature more like established, they don't want to move too much. There are people that move like more than is necessary. But in this way, we make this complementary stuff in life. So if you feel like that it's kind of hard to move, you can always find to reach some people, to reach a spiritual guide, to help you just to go through a process. Remember, the Maya calendar is not an astrology that we just need to say, oh, this now is to do this. It's not about that. We can do an intervention. We are dealing with the spirits of the nature. So care is going to be like this final spiritual strength where everything, we can end up getting, after all of this accumulation. And then after Ukub Care, we're going to be moving, going to be returning to the beginning of the Trecena with 8 canoe. It's a new beginning of this Trecena. But it's a beginning more prepared. For example, the last time we saw the nawal canoe, the nawal the seed, was in the beginning of the past Trecena with Hun canoe with 1 seed. But remember, now one doesn't have a lot of strength just to go forward, to make you get abundance. So we had just to make to go through the battle of getting things out of the darkness. So now we just passed through this half of this Trecena, just injecting force with imox and finding balance in our care. And now we can just have like a more like a balanced germination of the seed. So now 8 canoe talks about like the process, the potential of something to germinate. It talks about productivity. So it's the moment just to return to balance the dose. Remember that imox can inject force but can also intoxicate. If you are not carrying things in balance in the Trecena, canoe can get into intoxication. Can represent whenever we enter into addictions. For example, I don't mind, I just need to produce a lot, so you're going to be drinking lots of coffee to get that boost for your day, or going to smoke lots of weed, or just going to drink lots of booze, so whatever. That can represent, the now canil, the intoxication, something that can make you chill a little bit whenever you need, but also can just boost you up. Can be the same stuff that can intoxicate you to do this. And so Washa Keep Canil can be like the return of the potential to germinate. Like all of this process of changes, even though we cannot see at the right time, sometimes can makes us feel stronger, can makes us find new ways for obtaining strength for us. So it can be like a process that can makes us see the power that we have to make things germinate. And then from Washa Kip Canil 8 seed, we're gonna be going to Belaer Tor 9 fire. Now 9 is the now that talks about like the waters they are hidden from sight. It talks about the what, like whenever what is running closed doors. There is always something we cannot never like really see what's everything that is going on. Like there is always something that's gestating silently, in darkness, or situations that are still in development. Sometimes we cannot see the way out, but there is always something in development that we need to gestate a little bit to later on it becomes bigger, it becomes more present for us. So now 9 talks about what is gestating, in darkness, silently, but it doesn't mean that it's not there. And now Thor is another now of the fire, but instead of being like the fire that's burning into ashes, it's just consuming, it's going down. It talks about the fire that is going up. So with Kat, that is the descending fire, that is the sacrifice that we do in order to help other people. Thor is the now that talks about the sacrifices that we do in order to achieve power, in order to achieve whatever we need. So it's the now of the payments, the tribute that they used to do for the kings. So it's your payment to achieve something. Whenever like you compromise yourself, okay, I want to handle this project, so you just make like a commitment with yourself. If you cannot handle, that will consume you. You will take from your vital force. That's why now Thor is also connected to the blood, just to give your blood to get something, just to give your vital energy to get something. But remember, as I always mention, that nothing is for free in here. There is always something that is consuming. Life is always an exchange of energy. So Thor will be requiring a payment. It can be a payment from your ceremonies, but can also be a payment from your physical health. It can also be a payment from your mental health, and so on. So 9 talk can be the now that talks about our inner struggles, like our inner sacrifices, our inner commitments. Is it still worth it? Because remember, since when we started this new round of the calendar, we make our new commitments, okay, we get excited, making new plans, so life can be beautiful whenever we are just planning stuff. Like everything is beautiful on the paper. But whenever we need to really take the actions just to make a move, just to make things transform, is where we kind of start to realize the real price that we have to pay. So that's when Belaertor comes into action. It talks about like, is it still worth it? Because maybe you change your plans, maybe you change your purpose. Maybe something that you started doesn't have like a new meaning into that. So maybe you need to reevaluate if that's still worth it for you. Is the price still like worth it to pay for the stuff that you're going through? If it is, great, just keep feeding the fire, just put your fire up. So get fired up just to continue on, just to continue through these transformations of life. But if it's not, it's okay if you just want to take a new direction. It's okay. So it's better just to always look after for your own well-being rather than just being sacrificed or something that's just extenuating you, just making you burn yourself and that's consuming your life energy. And then from Lao Tzu, we we're gonna be talking about like the convergence of emotions. Now 10 talks about where everything comes, into one single place, everything coming together. That's why we make reference to the lake. And now T, we talk about emotions. Sometimes insecurities, emotional insecurities. We talk about like can talk about companionship, can talk about like this other aspect, this emotional bonds that connects us, and that can be a little bit tricky because sometimes we can get confused over emotions, like especially in this Trecena where emotions are converging, like so many, like it's very like so many different changes going on, so many different other like elements changing, so we can get confused. Sometimes we get excited, sometimes we feel getting bitter. We try to find like the middle term so we can converge confusion in our emotions. So a good day to think about Lao-Tzu could be the day where you can count on your loyal friends to help you through the situation. So it's been hard. You don't need to do that alone. So remember, you can always, just to help other people. Remember in the first part of the Trecena, Wakib Kame, 6 ancestors. Ponder the support that you have. So if you have people who are loyal to, people who you can trust, talking to, go talk to them, ask some encouragement with that, so they can give you that impulse that Yek was talking about in this Trecena, to help you transform whatever you need to. So, but don't get swallowed by this confusion in emotions. Remember, just the ultimate thing that we need to remember here in this Trecena is the balance. Remember your spiritual strength. Remember the connection with the altar. So if you just keep your Ushlab strong, like your inner spirit strong, like with balancing things with your nawal, so you can go through, let these emotional insecurities just to destroy you. And remember, you can always count on your friends just to give this extra, energy of love and support. And then from Lauch Tzi, we're gonna be moving to Hulauch Bats, 11 monkey or 11th thread. Now 11 is a now that can spread or dilute something. Can be also another moment of divergence of the Trecena. So 11 can be something that can really give the power to germination of something. Now Abat talks about the work. It's about putting things into action, resolve the problems. It's just to make the interconnection of the ideas to see what you can do with that. So maybe after just walking through this Trecena, through this process of transformation, maybe some stuff is going to be more clear for us. It's going to be easier to resolve. It's going to be easier to see what connects with us. So it's going to be like a good moment that you can put things into action, or maybe use your creativity. If you're just too stressed, just try to unwind a little bit. Just chill up, just going to do something that's going to be taking you out of that mindset that can make you bitter. Just try to do something to balance what will bring you joy. So that's a good thing to do with Nawabat. So it could be a good day for you to resolve like some different problems that we are having over there. It's a good day for you just to get in a community and just make this net of ideas and solutions. So it can be a good day for you to consult with people that can really help you put things into action, or to untangle the situations that you feel tangling up in your life. But also, depending on how you are carrying with this Trecena, like 11 bats can represent frustration. So whenever we are not able to handle stuff anymore, it can be something that can makes you implode. And then moving from Hulauch Bats, we're gonna move to Kablauch E12 Pathfinder. Now 12 is a now of the hidden balance of the Trecena. It talks about like something that can come unexpectedly. Now that talks about like an extra, is the cash out, or is the moment of the cash out of the Trecena. It's the final moment before the final accumulation. So if you feel that uh, like some stuff just really like it's not going, it's not, you're not making it, sometimes Kabbalah it can bring unexpected insights. Now the Pathfinder talks about where you can advance, talks about the meanings in life, like the purposes that you create. Remember, life doesn't have a meaning. You can give your own meaning, whatever, if it's stupid or not, whenever, if it's like reasonable or not, like life it's yours. So it doesn't matter, but still we can even find a way to advance. We need to advance somewhere. But now if we are just feeling that we are still navigating in darkness, is the now that can bring that unexpected insights, that unexpected solution. Oh, I can go somewhere in life, I can do this or I can do that. So I can really show you like a glimpse of where to go, or how to go, especially coming from our bats. So that's why we cannot lose hope in this TRECENA, even though things are going a little bit, hard in that sense. And so you can use Kabbalah to do this, just to provide you these deeper purposes. Or if you just lost purposes, because of something that happened before in life, you can still use Kabbalah just to give you a new meaning. If you're just changing so many different things, you can use the Kabbalah just to get the unexpected or the hidden balance of the path you're choosing to go through. And then we're gonna be moving to Oshlahu 13 transformation. The now 13 is the now of the accumulation of everything that we are just seeing over here. Also talks about the transformation that we spoke about, these changes or this incompleteness that we need to get out from, so that we need to find that instability for go through these oscillating aspects of life. So everything that started in the beginning with a new injection of force in imox, and then we had to retract to calculate the impulse in Kebyek. Then we have to open the path for clarity in Oshib Akabal, so you can establish the tasks in Kahib Kat. Then you can overflow with the intervention, just to do the necessary changes, just to put things into balance in our Kan, so we can ponder the supports that we have. Then we kind of finally get the final strength with the now care. So then we can go back to return the cycle of productivity with now Kanil, so we can reevaluate our sacrifice, our inner sacrifices in Belayah Tor. Later we can converge the emotions in our Tzi, so we can spread solutions in our Bats. Then Kabbalah give us unexpected insights for all of these changes we are going through. And then finally we arrive to this accumulation of transformations, accumulation of different ideas that can make us either to grow smarter in life, or just to get more cynical, because we could be even able to be reluctant to those changes. So it always depends on how we carry with this stuff. And so in this we finished the analysis of this Oshlahu TRECENA, and we're going to be getting ready for the next TRECENA, that is going to be the Oshlahu TRECENA, the 13 ancestors. So that's why we need to use this TRECENA to get stronger, especially spiritually, to be able to do things in proportion, try to not go crazy, even though things can sometimes be a little bit desperate. Always remember that you can always find a balance, just to go back to this, because the other TRECENA will represent on how we deal with things in this one. Sometimes the next TRECENA of Kameh can be the one that can make us suffer, or the one that will accumulate supports for you to carry, just to get out of a difficult situation in life. If you have any questions, I'm gonna be looking at the comments right now here on YouTube and also on Instagram. And if not, thank you very much for the for the company. So let me see here first on YouTube. Douglas, yeah, go on. I don't know this. I don't know. I don't see any question related to that. I got some trolls over here today. Oh, thank you for the company. Um, Atla, thank you. Where can I learn the Maya calendar? Like I did 2 courses with guys who live in Guatemala, but their reading and analogies are not as near as yours. Well, it's next. So, like, I learned from a lineage. My lineage comes from Nawal, Guatemala. Like my tata is the one that has in most of my early videos here on YouTube. Is a Pabiantel. Also, a way to learn is for you to dive deeper into the culture. Just to go to Guatemala, understand how the Mayas, they think, dive deeper into their philosophies. There are always ways that you can, dive deeper. There are, of course, for us here in the Western world, there are lots of books talking about Mayan astrology, but they don't really carry the essence of the Maya. And the best thing that you can do depends. So that kind of depends on how deep would you like to dive. That's the main question. Because if you want for the entertainment, so these books about Mayan astrology sometimes can be useful. But if you really like to learn, just to go deeper, to understand that like in a deeper level, you need to dive into the culture. There is no shortcut. Like as I always mention, I have been, diving deeper and deeper as much as I can into the Maya calendar, invest into learning the language, into experiencing the lands, into keep having classes with the Maya University, like for 7 years so far. Depending if there is something that I also provide some personalized training depending on the people's interests. So you can reach out to me through the DM on Instagram. Then we can talk more about that. But if not, like the more you can dive to the culture or reading anthropological books, the better. Let me read some comments here on Instagram. I'll go back to watch the replay because I missed it, and so great for sharing. Oh, thank you, Venus. Also, the live is going to be saved on YouTube. Sometimes it's better to watch go back from there. But thank you for your company for joining. Maya, thank you for the feeling inspired within Mosh with cleansing the energy after the last TRECENA, manifesting more stability energetic in this TRECENA. Always enjoy. Well, thank you so much, Maya. It doesn't matter how hard it could be. Sometimes life can be heavy. Sometimes we cannot escape that. But what the Maya calendar teaches us, that we can stay in tune of the consciousness of the day, just stay up strong no matter whatever is happening. So we have like the altars. Do not lose faith. Just keep up strong. Hold on still. That everything will work out. And if there is anything that I can help, like with stuff with the Maya calendar ceremonies, you can reach out to me, and I'm here to help. Use with everything that I can. Let me see here. Some more. Sophia, hi. More questions in here. Carlos Barros' book, The Book of Destiny, 1 of 3. Well, this one, like, it's a little bit contradictive in the Highlands. It's not everybody that really appreciate that, but it all depends on like what is your purpose with the calendar. I remember I read the Book of the Destiny. Like I personally, like I'm not gonna be saying anything bad about that, like cause I don't know family, like I don't know anything about the lineage. But I know, like for sure, there are so many things taken out of the contextualization. Because as far as I know, like Carlos Barrios, even his father, Gerard Barrios, like they didn't speak Quiche, like they didn't dive into the culture enough. So there are so many like concepts talking about, like, for example, oh, the contact with other beings, that's kind of enters into the pseudoscience realm. But I'm not gonna say that it's all that bad, because you can learn some stuff, for example, especially from about the names, about some general conceptualizations. It could be good. But if you really like just to dive deeper into that, try Barbara Tedlock's book. She lived in the Highlands for 25 years. Her and her husband, they contributed a lot, for what we have here in the Western world about like the authentic knowledge. So you know about like the lineage of the Momostenango where they were trained. So that's what I've been telling. But it depends. If you, as I mentioned, like what you like to learn, it all depends on what is your purpose with this knowledge. Like in my case, I have been involved with indigenous communities like for over 10 years right now. I live in Brazil, and here like I'm with the Guarani people, and the Kuntanao people have been doing those ceremonies for traveling with them for other places. I've been used to, because I know like how things happen during the indigenous, like the difference between lineages. So, and I know like there's a lot of cultural appropriation, vehiculating out there. So we need to be very, very careful, because whenever like, okay, we get excited, okay, oh, what this talks about me. So it's normal to get excited. I also got excited about that. I always, felt like I was learning a lot from these books before arriving to the lands, or before, becoming an apprentice of my tata. But with indigenous, so if you want to dive deeper into an indigenous knowledge, you need to dive deeper into the culture. If you really want to learn and master, you want to just to really learn that. That is all about that. But there's all I ask you, just never stop learning. Like I'm still studying after 7 years, and still lost to learn. Sometimes I still feel I don't know anything. Everything that I talk in here is very elementary, because I try to make this like as these slides as easy as possible for you to follow. There are so many different concepts during the TRECENA that are different, like analogies or the way that they really read. But I try to make this like as simple as possible for people who are just beginning or just getting excited, or like authentic sources, to learn from. That's what I'm trying to do in here. Our practice, your share brings me clarity and I know and strength if I need. It's whether or not I realize where I am. So much. I'm glad that I'm helping you somehow, Douglas. Anytime you need, can reach out to me. And I'm glad that these simple lives are being helpful for you, and hopefully it's for more of you as well. Oh, good. Good to know. Thank you so much for it's also recommended. Are you write me on Instagram, so I will send you the direct link of the books that I personally consider that are really good, uh, so you can dive in. They have like more a real cultural perspective of that. Because what happened, for example, with the Maya, there are like what is kind of really hard, to dive into the Maya culture. We need to bear in mind that during the colonization times, like the Mayan people, they were forced to abandon, like the costumes, the cultures. The same thing that happens here in Brazil with the colonization. So something that like I'm really aware of. And in that, sometimes what you can see like you can see like today many mixed Mayan people. For example, something that was spread about Hunapku, or being like the god for the Maya. This is a European invention. There is no such a thing in the Maya culture. You can even see like Mayan talking about Jesus. You can see like evangelic Maya people. They're still Maya, but they have mixed culture. I'm not saying that they are less Maya than the others, but the culture can get mixed up. And also, for example, if you like, for example, in my case, I whenever I was willing to dive into the Maya culture, I was looking for something like as close like as to the source as possible. That's why, like I took the hard road just to understand linguistics in conceptualization, because linguistics, it's everything. It's the best way to dive into a culture, to understand like what they mean whenever they talk about the specific nawals. That's why I emphasize, some aspects, linguistic aspects in here whenever I talk specific nawals. But what happens in that, for example, I know like where the knowledge originated, for example, Siha, Nawala. So I was asking when I was there in the mountains, so they were gonna give me directions of where to go, of who to attend with. Sometimes, for example, you can see like the mainstream Mayas, for example, these cacao ceremonies. Like this is not some cacao ceremonies are not something ancient in there. Like it's something that is originated in the 90s. So it's more trendy stuff. Like I don't see any problem like with cacao ceremonies. Okay, it can be medicinal for the antioxidant, properties of the cacao, but it doesn't carry like, for example, if people whenever they try to sell or marketing too hard, that's or it's a medicine of this and that, because that you can even try for yourself, that is not going to bring any solution. There are really real Mayan ceremonies over there, and but that's something that can be a nice, pleasant, atmosphere for gathering, for you to have a talk. Okay, cacao belongs to the Maya culture. Yes, was something that was drank by the kings over there, cacao and hot chocolate as well. But it was more like in ancient times, it was more like the coffee of the afternoon, for them, because there in the highlands it's very cold, so it was something only to warm up. But what in the cacao that it has that is really real is the ceremonies for the seeds. Whenever you are entering into the process of the of planting the seeds, that there's then yes, there are real ceremonies made towards that. But today, some because of the hard in Guatemala, especially for the Maya, is hard. Of course, sometimes they travel in these trains. It's good for you if you're just traveling over there. You want to have an experience. It's okay. Like it's not harmful as that. But if your purpose is to dive into learn the culture, is to dive into understand the philosophies and stuff. So you need to get out a little bit of that to really understand what the Maya calendar is really about. As I mentioned, there is no problem if you, for example, for most of you are more interested, okay, oh my now talks about me, no, what is about that, personality traits, or most of the time just to fit somebody in a box, oh, I'm this and this and this. But where in reality, whenever we want to understand the Maya calendar, what talks about behavior in people, we need to understand gestation. Because in summary, like going very deep to understand the Maya calendar, is a system of counting of light and darkness, or as they call Achahil and Ishokil, or masculine and feminine properties. Or is another way to say that everything comes from like a mother and a father, something that gives an ignition and a development. Same way, we want to understand like how you are the way you are, how you choose the way you choose. Go back to how you were created, like it's the story of your parents, or even the mother with the syringe in case of insemination. So the Maya calendar, the now will define what happens during the pregnancy moment, during the shaping of the consciousness of the baby, that starts, understanding the world through the experiences of the mother. So in the same way that also understand the masculine approach of the father, or the syringe over there in the sexual act, like how like how if it was like a sexual act that provides no orgasm for the woman, so it's good for the ushlab of the baby. So there are many different levels that we need to understand before the nawal. So ushlab, for example, that I never see no one talking about that. So for example, the chomabao that talks about like is the mind. But inside the chomabao, there is a concept that is called chahinel, which is like the guardian of the mind. Like something, for example, sometimes like as the mind doesn't care like for truth. The mind is always focused on just giving information. I don't know if it's from the time of you of the game called the Pac-Man that keeps just eating constantly stuff. So the mind's just like this, just consuming this, consume that, or just give me information, just give that. So then you can observe, so you can balance some stuff, but it's always just asking for information. So there are sometimes we can buy some ideas that are not necessarily truth. Sometimes we can make up some sense into that. For example, we can take like a concept of the Maya, and we can apply our ideas and believe in that. Or just, but we can distort a little bit. We are always aim to do that. But remember, analyzing a person, we need to understand the Ushlab, which is this inner consciousness that is created during the process of the gestation. Yes, you write down here. Achahio, which is masculine, and Ishokyo, that is feminine. So it doesn't actually represent like masculine and feminine, but I have a video in my YouTube talking about that, because whenever they talk about Achahil, they talks about, for example, something that carries a light, like something that is direct, is dispersing, like celestial, for example. And Ishokil, that is the feminine, talks about like what is terrestrial, what is dark, what is developing, just like pregnancy. So that's why you always you maybe heard the concept of the heart of the sky and heart of the earth. So everything is a fruit from this father and this mother, that is the earth. For example, the rain that falls from the sky, the wet, like the feminine earth over there, puts, just drowns puts the seed below, the earth, so the earth has the fertility and gives birth to a new fruit. So everything comes from this concept of having a mother and a father. Even concepts, for example, whenever we analyze like a product, or for example, you had an idea, like something that we were just stating over there, and then you do the action or you invest some money, so you materialize that idea. So then you have a product. So then you can analyze that something had this ignition and this development, and then a fruit of something. So everything that we do, our actions, like everything that I'm talking right now, carries a nawal, carries a representation, carries something about that. And yeah, so there are Venus, what you can find in there, I have a playlist called Fundamentals. I think it's called Fundamentals in there. I think I have a couple of videos I'm going to be posting more and more right now. They're going to be having more time. And so this element, so this conceptualization that you can see that results on us, it also, can explain like the stuff that we come up through, like our projects. So everything carries this conceptualization of the Maya. So that's why that is important, if you want to really dive into this like Maya realm, like really go deep into like how the Maya think, we need to understand like this Mayan principles. And so I think, and that's the main concept. I can go for hours and hours. Like I'm always excited to talk about that. And there's something like I think that's very important, like this fundamentals stuff is always very important, because it's always the most important thing for you to bear in mind, for you to, before you start analyzing something with the nawal, you need to make this checklist. I will make a video about talking about like the main Maya principles. We'll see if the Tata Pabianteo can join, so you don't listen only from me. Because remember, I'm just an apprentice. I love this culture, like I'm part of a lineage of a culture. But as I said, like as more as I can just put like the one that is just passing this knowledge for me, like one of my teachers in here, I would like just for you to receive from the source. I don't want to appropriate. I have so much respect for the indigenous communities, and what I can do to help them, I will do my best, and also to provide like the richest information out there. And so if you have any more, okay, yeah, and if you cannot find, just message me on Instagram, that I will send you the direct link. So if you have any more questions, I can stay here. for a bit longer. If not, we can your book recommendation are much clearer. Thank you. Our success or the wisdom of our paths. Is there a simple explanation for the apparent having many few that? Let me see if I understand. Is there a simple explanation for the apparent heaviness many few now that is positive? Well, it's always about perspective. Like depending, because sometimes like the heaviness we feel sometimes can be a result of like a lack of a solution. Because bear in mind that whenever our mind doesn't have an explanation for something, we tend to freak out because we don't know what to do. We feel like, oh, we are doomed to that. So, because sometimes like we need sometimes there is nothing we can do. We just need to learn with a situation to get mature. Sometimes we need to learn that like the world doesn't move according to like how everything we want. So we need to learn this stuff. And what the Maya calendar can really helps us with this with this TRECENA analysis is the more we go through the day by day or these conceptualizations, the more like we inhale this, like we mature these concepts of the Maya calendar, like the more, like the easier, the quicker, like we can get out of these situations. For example, if you are going through a situation of, for example, now situation, where you are overthinking too much about something, so like you are overloaded about some stuff, or you have like so many different projects here and there, so many different ideas, so that you need to to look at that. So you need to know, okay, I need to chill down a little bit. If you recognize that everything that happens, for example, in our no, sometimes can represent like that you're overthinking too much. So maybe you need just to reset a little bit. Just go have just go doze off a little bit. Just take a nap or make a meditation or go for a run, go for a walk in nature. So then you can, just calm down, and then you can organize your ideas in a better way. So maybe later, after you organize everything, so maybe you can see it, then you can move to an Akabal situation where you can find light inside of the darkness. For example, in most cases of the consultation, is all about that. For example, whenever people come in a consultation with me of having a problem or have a difficulty, sometimes with talk, I can help with that. Sometimes it's necessary a ceremony to intervene into something if it's heavier than that. Something that, okay, just cross the limits of the possible to resolve that in a pacific way. So, but then understand like what is the realms and the atmosphere of the novels that people are bringing to me, and the more like you go through these novels day by day, you can internalize that, so it becomes quicker for you to think about a solution. Oh, this belongs to this, and how I resolve this now? I resolve this now with this. So, because once again, the novels, they are embedded in the way that the Maya speak, is in their linguistic expressions. Like remember, like why I always say that linguistics are important, because the language we speak shapes like the way like we perceive reality, like our linguistic expressions. Like I speak Portuguese, I speak Italian, I speak English, so I speak a little bit of Quiche in here. So every time I'm shifting between all these languages, I need to express myself in a different way. Like sometimes I cannot translate like completely like the things that I say in Portuguese to English, so I have to adapt a little bit. So even though, okay, we always experience the same reality, but the way for the Mayas also express that, they talk about the nows all the time. Or for example, kamosheric, that means that it's a realm of emotion. Whenever you misinterpret something, or you just carry something that becomes like entangled and you go into craziness. And then, confusion that kamoshirik, this word kamoshirik can represent, can entangle so many different aspects, like can entangle so many different situations, for example, that can lead for you to burn yourself with that. So it make you feel in pain with that. Because sometimes, as you mentioned, like this heaviness could be, something that you just being putting the injection of strength in the wrong spot. So, and then if you just balance the stuff, like if someone just give you some light for you to balance the stuff, you see how things result. Or whenever, for example, you feel like you're stagnant in work, or things are not happening. So if you just thinking about the step that we do and how just to follow like step by step, just planting seeds, just as you're taking care, if you plant a plant, so you need to nurture that. You see that everything becomes so simple. It changes your way of thinking about things. That's an emphasis that I like to try to highlight in here. I don't know if it made sense or if I just entangle myself in here, but even though, like, if you don't speak each, if you just take these general conceptualizations about the nouns and how they connect to each other, how they can use to resolve one another, how they can use to explain one another, so you are able to recognize faster and to get out of a dark situation or a dark place in life in a faster way. Did I answer your question, Douglas? Let me know. So let me find just something just to... Because here in Brazil it's being so freaking hot. Yeah, approaching summer in here. I don't know about the places where you live, if the weather is like it's normal, but in here it's being like it's painfully hot. So if you have any questions, I can stay here a little bit longer. I don't know if it was like everything was clear as the way that I was explaining, but if you still have questions you'd like for me to develop more, you can always reach me on Instagram. If there aren't other questions, we can finish the live for today. See here. As mentioned, although I tend to believe my struggles. You can have a purpose if you decided they have a purpose. Remember, like, not necessarily they tend to have a purpose, because sometimes you go through so many different things that people can struggle that you don't mind then, and then you just walk freely. But as I said, it all depends. That there are people who are like more inclined to deal with heaviness, like they struggle a little bit more to see a situation. As I said, like that is always a way that we need to understand through pregnancy. So pregnancy explains everything. Like we can go very, very deep with pregnancy. Of course, there are so many different things, but if you decide that, okay, you have a purpose in there, like it's only you, like it's about you. So then you go there and then just try to meet the meaning of the purpose in that sense. So it's not wrong to think that, if they have a purpose, if you feel they have, it's okay. But if you change your perspective, say, oh, this doesn't have a purpose, so let me just get out of this, it's okay too. It doesn't necessarily, So, okay. And, so thank you. Well, thank you for listening to me for that long, because sometimes when I get excited, I tend to talk a lot. But thank you very much, you all, for the company, for making sense, for me talking to you in here. If you have any questions, any doubts, just send me here. I'm always happy to help people. So, okay, everyone, thank you so much. Wishing you all already a great TRECENA ahead. And I see you all for our next TRECENA analysis. Bye-bye.